everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a little bit of a series video. So if you've been on my channel for a little while, you'll know that I have a problem when it comes to series and reading series and starting series. I think I did a video back in 2021 around Christmas time for when I was like, because I remember filming it in my place for the first time and talking about all the series that I had started in and read during the year, and it was like over 50. And I know that was just 1 year out of all of my years of life. I was curious as to how many I have started or read in overall in my lifetime. And this year, G from Book Roast actually released with her Cop-How spreadsheet that she releases every year. This one has a series tracker attached to it, so you can fill it in with all the series that you've read. Now, I have done so. I have alphabetized it, and I have gone through already once and gone through and like filled in like which ones I finished and which ones I've DNF'd already, just in general. But I wanted to go through this today with y'all to see if there's any more, if I can kind of cull my series down. Because, as you can see, I have 112 ongoing series. 26 series have been finished and 44 have been DNF'd as so far. I also decided to do like a little bit of a color coding thing so I can see visually which series I've decided to DNF and which ones I actually have finished, just because it helps my brain a little bit better to see them color-wise, what I've got going on. But yeah, we're just gonna dive in. This is going to be a little bit of a discussion-y video. I'll talk about the series as we go through, but let's dive into all the series that I've read. Before we dive in, let me see how many I have in here. There are 183 in here, and I can guarantee you that there are some that I'm missing from my childhood. Guarantee it. You know, all of those like old series that I read when I was like a kid that aren't on Goodreads, that they're not in the system, that I didn't put on Goodreads because I didn't have Goodreads at the time. I started Goodreads back in 2017, so it's got as much up to date as possible, and all of those really old series I won't be reading. So they don't matter anyway, so they would all just be DNFs if I hadn't finished them when I was a kid anyways. Like, for example, the Magic Treehouse series. I read up to like 37, and there's got to be like 100 and some now, because that series has gone on forever. So first and foremost, we have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have read the first book, bought book 2 and book 3 while I was reading the first book, and I regret it because I don't like Sarah J. Maas's writing. I don't know why I went out and bought them. I think it was in the time where I would just buy books because I was like, I'll have these on my shelves because everyone else loves them. Then I tried to read the second book and I got a few chapters in and I was like, nah, this is just not for me. So we DNF'd that one. Then we have A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine, which I still have on my shelves. I reorganized my shelves recently, so everything's a little weird. Yeah, I do have it on my shelves, and I've marked it as a DNF right now because I just don't know if I will ever go out and get the second one, which is A Desolation of Peace. It's just not something that I'm drawn to. It's gonna be a DNF. Some of these might be like tentative DNFs. If I ever get the chance to read those books again, maybe I'll pick them back up, but like, who knows? Then I have A Song of Ice and Fire. This is the Game of Thrones series, and I do plan on reading them all. I don't know how many there are going to be, which is why I have 8 boxes available in the spreadsheet. But I have read up to, this is gonna drive me nuts. I've reorganized my entire shelves. I've read up to A Storm of Swords, or I've read A Storm of Swords. And the next one would be A Feast for Crows. And then obviously we only have A Dance for Dragons, and we're still waiting for the next one. But yeah, I will be continuing those. I really, really enjoy Game of Thrones. So and the books are fantastic. I've watched a few of the seasons of Game of Thrones out of order and backwards. Like, I've seen the show and I really like the show as well, but I haven't seen it all. And I have yet to read all the books as well. Next up, we have The Accidental Apprentice by Amanda Foody. Now, I've got this as a DNF, even though I really liked this little middle grade. And I will say that if I ever do get the inkling to read the sequel, I will. I originally read this specific middle grade as like research for my middle grade project to like get comps and to like kind of see what was out there. I was reading a bunch of them at the time, and I really, really liked The Accidental Apprentice, and it actually is a comp to Abby Carter and the Dreamlings, which is what mine is called. So that was really fun. But but I don't really feel the need to go out of my way to read the sequel. So it's a DNF for now, which kind of makes me sad. I'm not gonna lie. All right, we got another one here that's ongoing. Aggie Morton, Mystery Queen by Martha Justley. I've read the first 2 books of this adorable middle grade mystery series. It's a mystery series set in Victorian England, and it's based on Agatha Christie, and I absolutely love it. I enjoy those books so much. And I have book 3 on my shelves, and book 4 was just released, I believe, at the end of 2022. So I will hopefully be continuing and finishing this wonderful quartet of mystery books that are they're just so charming. I love them so much. Next, we have Alchemical Journeys by Shauna Maguire. Now, this is one of the ones that I am leaning towards a DNF because this is Middle Game. I liked Middle Game when I read it. I still don't know what I would rate it, to be honest with you. And I think I left it completely unrated when I read it the year that I read it. I can't remember if it was 2019, maybe 2020. One of those years. But I just don't really care about reading the sequel. So I think this is going to be a DNF. And I guess one day if I ever really want to, or if it piques my interest, I'll open that back up again. But for now, it's a no. Then we have Alex Stern, which is the Ninth House and Hellbent. I have Hellbent on my shelves and I do plan on reading it. And hopefully I like it and I continue reading this series. I have it set up as a trilogy because I know Leigh Bardugo loves her trilogies. I'm not entirely sure if it's just a trilogy though. I think it is. I think I heard somewhere that it is a trilogy. And hopefully we don't have to wait as long between Hellbent and the next one to get the next one because that was ridiculous. But yeah, Alex Stern, I'm going to keep as a continuing to read. Amari and the Night Brothers though. This is another middle grade series that I just don't know if I will continue with. I very easily could, because the first book was fine and enjoyable, but I've read better middle grades and I won't go out of my way to read this. I feel like I'm the only person in the entire world who didn't love Amari and the Night Brothers. I tried to read Amari and the Night Brothers on audiobook first and ended up DNFing it, and then coming back to the physical copy, and I only gave it 3.5 stars, so I don't even know if it's worth continuing. For now, we'll leave it. And because that one, even though I'm leaning towards a DNF, it is a higher possibility than the previous ones that I will continue, just because they're middle grade, they're fast reads. Next, we have A Number in the Ashes, which is our first finished series. Number 10 is our first finished, no, number 9 is our first finished series by Sabaa Tahir. I loved this one. Then we have Anne of Green Gables by Ella Montgomery. I've only ever read the first 2 of Anne of Green Gables, but I really, really enjoy Anne as a character, so I will eventually one day go back and finish these books. I have all the books and I really enjoy listening to the audiobooks of them, and they're very soft and very cozy feeling books, so yeah, I'm gonna keep that one as a continuing series. Next we have Arc of a Scythe by Neil Shusterman, which I've read 2 books out of, and I don't ever know if I'm gonna read The Toll, to be entirely honest. I don't really want to. I'm one of the only people that I've heard and seen on the internet who's not in love with this trilogy. Everyone else and their mother seems to absolutely love the Arc of the Scythe, which is, Scythe and Thunderhead and all of them. I have the first 2 on my shelves up there, but I think I'm gonna put it as a DNF. I just don't know if I will ever continue. I should also say, if y'all think out of any of these series that I have DNF'd that I should give a second chance to, please let me know down below. And I will. I will. If you guys tell me, if you yell at me enough, I will read them. I'll give them a second chance. Next up, we have Beasts of Prey, which is a duology by Ayana Gray. And I read the first one last year and it was okay. It was just okay. It's a YA fantasy that just is kind of YA fantasy-y. In my head, I'm I should probably read the second, but I'm not going to go out of my way to read the second book. So it's just going to linger as a continuing series until I decide to either DNF the series officially or read the second book. Because it is only a duology, I'll leave that one open. Then we have Between the Earth and Sky by Rebecca Roanhorse. So this one is Black Sun, the Black Sun series. So this one I am going to continue with. I do want to read book 2. And again, I don't know how many there's going to be, which is why I have 4 boxes set up here. So yeah, that's another one that I'm definitely going to continue with because I really, really liked Black Sun. Then we have another DNF series already, Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. I read the first one when I was doing, I think it was my first foray into sci-fi back in 2021. It was one of the ones that I read. It's a novella series and I just didn't really like Binti all that much. So I decided decided I like won't ever read the sequels, which is why I've DNF'd it. Then we have The Bladed Faith by David Dalglish. This is one that I also don't feel a real big pull to read a sequel of, which is so unfortunate because I know this is like one of Holly's favorite books from last year. She really loves David Dalglish, I don't know how to say it. I had a teacher back in high school with the last name Dalglish, so that's why I've always been calling David Dalglish. I might also have it spelled wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I just don't know about this one. This is another one that I might DNF just because I just don't really care enough to go into the sequel. So I think I'm gonna DNF it. I'm being brutal, my guys. We're gonna try and really cull this collection of mine down. We have Blood Scion by Deborah Falahi. This is a YA book series. I don't actually know if it's a duology or a trilogy. I have it here as a trilogy because that seems to be the standard thing. I do want to kind of read that. I want to read the sequel whenever that comes out. I don't know. Have any of you heard about it coming out? I don't know. But yeah, that's on there and it's going to stay open. The second book will determine whether I actually do finish that series. But next we have Blood Sworn by John Gwynne. And of course I'm going to be freaking finishing this. This is some of my favorite books ever. These are the Hunger of the Gods and Shadow of the Gods. So good. I've read 2 of them. Will be reading the 3rd when that's released. Next up we have Books of Ember, which is a series that I read back in high school. And I read only the first one and I will never read them. So it's a DNF. Books of Beginning by John Stevens is a wonderful little middle grade trilogy that I have completed. Another one completed. This is when we really get to see how much I actually read in, because so many of these are just the first book. I really need to get better at that. Next up, Bring Me Their Hearts by Sarah Wolf. This one, also only read the first one, will not be reading the rest because the first one was like barely a 2-star. It was bad. Then we have Broken Earth by N.K. Jemisin. This is the 5th season trilogy and I really want to keep reading this. I actually have a library hold for The Obelisk Gate, which is book 2, ready for me at the library, so I will be continuing that this month. Then we have the Brown Sisters trilogy, which is one of the only romance series I have on here. Then we have The Burning Kingdoms by Tasha Suri, which is the Jasmine Throne and the Oleander Sword, and y'all bet your butts I will be reading that 3rd book when that comes out because I want to continue crushing myself with its sapphic wonderfulness. I love those books. Everybody needs to read them. Then I have Camelot Rising by Kiersten White, which is the Guinevere Deception and the Camelot Betrayal, and then I believe there's a 3rd one as well, which I don't have on my shelves. And I do plan on eventually reading book 2, and book 2 will then, tell me if I'm gonna continue the series or not. So that's why that one is a continuing. Again, only read the first book in that series. Then we have Cassidy Blake by V.E. Schwab, which is her little middle grade series. And in that one, I've read 2 books. I also don't remember how many there are. But this is another one where I just don't think I'm going to continue. And I don't feel bad about DNFing this series of hers because she's got so many freaking books out that I can read other things that she's written and it would be fine. I don't need to finish Cassidy Blake at all. I remember reading listening to the audiobook for 2 of them back to back kind of a thing at work once, and I would have listened to 3 if 3 had been out at the time, but I just never was. The Cemetery of Forgotten Books is an interesting one as well. This is another one that is a companion series. And the first one is Shadow of the Wind, which is one of the best books I've ever read. I was about to say written. I am not Carlos Ruiz Zafón. But again, I just don't think I'm gonna ever continue with this series. And if I am, I'll track them and I'll, take it away from being DNF'd because it's possible. This is not finalized, but will I ever read those books? I'm not gonna go out of my way to do so. Then we have Chaos Walking by Patrick Ness, which I have also DNF'd. I read this one back in high school. I really liked the first one at the time, but in retrospect, those are not good books. Those are straight up not good books. Then we have Chilling Effect by Valerie Valdez. This is a recent series that I've started that I absolutely love. It's a little cute, really action-packed, high-octane space opera type of thing with cats in space, and I love this series. It's not exceptionally well done by any means, but it's so much fun to read. So yes, I will be finishing that trilogy when I can get my hands on the 3rd book. Then we have Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne by Brian Stavely. This is another one that I have on my shelves. Again, I have it on my shelves, but I really did enjoy it as I was reading, but I honestly couldn't tell you what no, I could tell you what happens. I don't know if I will ever finish it or go out of my way to get the sequel. So we're gonna DNF that as well because I just don't ever think I'm gonna go into it. Then we have The Chronicles of the Bitch Queen by K.S. Veloso, and y'all know, oh no, I missed one. The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, which I don't ever want to read. I do not like this series. It bothers me so much. Like, there's nostalgic value to the people who really love this series, right? It's just so religious with no character arcs or growth or any substance at all. Like, I know they were written for kids, but like kids can have character growth, you know? So it bothers me. I've only read 2, and I wouldn't have read the second one unless my friend voted for me to read it in one of my Friends Pick My TBR videos. So Chronicles of the Bitch Queen, though, by K.S. Veloso, I will continue and I will be finishing this year. I have only 1 left and I need to read it, but y'all know I love that series so much. Then we have Chronicles of the Imaginarium Geographica by James A. Owen. I have read the book 1, and I have both book 1 and 2 on my shelves because they are beautiful books. Will I ever read them? Probably not. But I have it here because I did enjoy book 1 enough. Will I ever read book 2? That is the question of the hour. No, you know what? No, my body, mind, and soul is telling me no. So we're gonna DNF it. And we're probably gonna unhaul that book off my shelves and get it off my TBR. I'm gonna grab it. The Search for the Red Dragon. Unhauled. Then we have City of the Plague God by Sarawat Chada. This is one of the Rick Riordan Presents middle grades. I enjoyed book 1. If there's more, I probably will read book 2. Eventually, it's gonna just be one of those ones that's not like a high priority. Then we have Collarbound by Rebecca Zahavi, which I don't know. Where did it go? Behind me, isn't it? Yep. This is gonna be fun until I get used to this new layout. This was just fine for me. It was just fine, and there was nothing special about it. I don't know. This one's gonna be a maybe. Because if like a sequel comes out, which I haven't actually heard if there is going to be a sequel or not, then maybe book 2 will be the deciding factor. Then we have the Daevabad trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty, which I am planning on continuing. I have book 2 on my shelves, and I'm excited for her new series that she's starting, her piratey one. I'm more excited about that one than the City of Brass series, but I will continue it because I did enjoy book 1, and I've heard that it only gets better with every book, so we love that. We love when that happens. Then we have 3 DNFs back to back to back. And I know this might hurt some people, these 3 that I've got here, but we're just gonna go through it. The Dark Artifices by Cassandra Clare is the only Cassandra Clare series that I have not loved. So much so that I've only read 1 book and was like, I don't really care about these characters, so I DNF'd the series. Then Daughter of Smoke and Bone. Again, love Laini Taylor's Strange the Dreamer, read book 1 of this one, and I just couldn't care less about the characters as well. And then Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan, I rage read because it's bad, and I'm very sorry about that to everyone who loves that book. It's just not good. Then we have The Dead Djinn and Universe, which is by P.J. Lee Clark, which I adore. I've read the 2 novellas. I don't have both of them, I only have one of them on my shelves. The 2 novellas in the series and the novel in this series, they all stand on their own, but they all do link together. I really love P.J. Lee Clark's writing and worlds that he crafts. So whatever else he comes out in this universe, I will be reading. Discworld and Dragonlance. Both of these series I've DNF'd. Discworld because I've read 2 Discworld books completely out of order. There's over 30 books in that series. And I just don't vibe with Terry Pratchett's writing. I just don't like the Discworld books. I'm very sorry. And I don't ever want to read another one. The only time I've read Discworld is for book club because my friends have now picked 2 Discworld books. And every time a Discworld book is picked, I'm like, okay. So that would be the only reason I would read another one, is if it was picked for book club. But yeah. Dragonlance, I tried to read the first book, DNF'd it, so I'm never going to continue that series. Then we have The Drowning Empire by Andrea Stewart, which is another one that I'm going to add to the DNF pile because I really did not care about the first book. Like the main characters were so lukewarm. There was so much happening. And the person who carried this entire story, I don't even remember his name, but it was a man and a little creature named Mephi, and they carried the entire book on their shoulders, and they weren't even the main characters. I just couldn't care less about that, and I've heard that the second book is a huge disappointment, so if I didn't like book 1, why would I read book 2, right? So that one's gonna be a DNF, and another unhaul off my shelves. Getting rid of this one. Look at me, 2 things at once. Next, we have Dune by Frank Herbert, which weirdly enough, I'm gonna keep as a continuing series because I really weirdly liked Dune when I read it. and I do want to keep going. Will I read the entirety of the Dune series? Probably not. I might aim for just the first, like the first 3 books, because I've heard that that kind of acts as its own like story arc. It's staying open for now. Then we have Edinburgh Nights by T.L. Huchu. That is the Library of the Dead. I have an arc for the Library of the Dead that I received from Tor when it was coming out a couple years ago. And I've read it now twice, and I really enjoyed the story. It's not a perfect story. It's more of like a 3.5 star for me, but I am definitely going to be continuing with that series because I love the way that T.L. Huchu writes, and the voice of that book is amazing. Then we have Empire of Sand, which is a companion duology by Tasha Shuri, and I have read the first one, and I really hope I can get to the second one. I have it from the library, and I do plan on reading the second one at some point in my life. Then we have Empire of the Wolf by Richard Swan, which is the Justice of Kings. This one's sequel is like just coming out, or has just come out. I can't remember if it was released or not, with the Tyranny of Saints or something. And I am very intrigued to continue with this series at some point. So that is going to stay on my shelves, and I will keep that series open. Again, don't know how many there's going to be. I have it set up as a trilogy because that seems to be the standard. Next up, we have Imperium by Claire Grand. This is another DNF. This was the second one's Kingsbane. Furyborn, that's what it is. The Furyborn trilogy. I have since given these to my friend, and she has since fallen in love with them. So it's hers. I could easily read them, but I just never reached for them on my shelves for as long as I had them. So DNF. Then we have The Faithful and the Fallen, which is the beautiful, over here. Oh my God, that's far away. These Beautiful Boys by John Gwynne. Will be continuing. Absolutely love those books. Then we have the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I do really want to try and get myself through this trilogy, even though I like struggled with book 1 and book 2 because I have put it down since picking it up 2 years ago now. Mainly because I want to get to the Mad Ship trilogy because I've heard that's her best stuff, and I can't read things out of order, and I know her entire realm world needs to be read in order because like you'll be spoiled for some stuff about characters, and I need to read things in order, so I'm trying to get through the Farseer trilogy. Then we have Finlay Donovan, which 100% will be continuing. Love this series so freaking much. I cannot wait to read book 3. I think it was released earlier in February or in January even. Oh God, I'm so excited about it. Then we have For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. This is one that I was considering continuing, but I couldn't care less about this one. I'm in a very vindictive mood today. We're just gonna DNF that one too, because why? Then we have the Founders trilogy. Oh my God, I've been talking for so long and we're only on book series number 53. I gotta rapid fire this, guys. Founders Trilogy by Robert Jackson Bennett. I loved the first book. This is Foundry Side. I loved that book when I read it. So I do want to prioritize Robert Jackson Bennett's books at some point. I want to reread Foundry Side and get to the rest of that trilogy. Now that they're all out, I can like get them from the library and read them all. Then we have Gear Breakers by Zoe Hanamakuta. I did enjoy the first one enough, but it wasn't enough to be like, I need the second one right now. So, and I think Iron Widow did what Gear Breakers tried to do so much better. So DNF that one. Gentlemen Bastards, Scott Lynch, The Lies of Locke Lamora. Will be continuing that one because I really enjoyed the first one. But again, it's been many years, so I need to get on that. Then we have the Graceling Realm, which was originally just the trilogy, but now has opened up to 5 books. So I will be reading 4 and 5 at some point. I have Winter Keep on my shelves, and there is a new one as well that just came out. So yes, I'll be reading those at some point. Then we have The Great Cities by N.K. Jemisin, which is the City We Became and its sequel. I will be reading its sequel very, very soon because I loved The City We Became so much. And N.K. Jemisin is amazing. And we finally have another one that I finished. Look at me. We have The Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. All 3 books finished. The first one was the best, and they just kind of kept going downhill for me. We also have Green Glass House by Kate Milford. Loved, adored, will continue at some point. I also don't know how many there are in that little middle grade series, but I will continue that one. Gunmetal Gods, I will not be continuing. I did not like the way that women were treated in the book, and the plotting was whack, and it needed a developmental editor. Half a King by Joe Abercrombie is another one that's a maybe. I think I need to read book 2 to really solidify if I'm going to DNF the series or continue with it, but it is a trilogy of smaller books, and Joe Abercrombie scares me, so hopefully H.M. Long, Hollow Smoke. Y'all know I'm gonna read these books because she's one of my favorite authors of all time. Harry Potter read, of course. Hercule Poirot by Agatha Christie. Again, it's like Discworld. There's just so many of them that I don't ever think I will read more. And I read like one of Hercule Poirot's. I read The Halloween Party and it was bad. And so I was like, I don't really want to read that. DNF. Not gonna continue that one. Heroes of Olympus by Rick Riordan, of course. Check. Hunger Games, check. Infernal Devices, check. I got so many there that's all finished and I love it. The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini, which is Aragon. I do want to finish one day, but I need to collect the same editions of these books because I don't like the new editions. So every time I go to the thrift store, I see if I can find the third and the fourth in paperback form, which is very difficult to find. But yeah, I will eventually read those. Ink World, which is like the Ink Heart, Ink Spell, and Ink Death. I read them as a kid, loved them as well. Iron Widow, as I just talked about, is very good and I will be continuing that. I think it's only a duology, so I will be continuing with Heavenly Tyrant. Jadefire Gold was a YA book that I read that didn't leave an impression at all on me, so I'm not ever going to continue it. Jane Austen Murder Mystery. This is a companion series again that I really liked, Pride and Premeditation, and I do really want to read her Sense and Sensibility one, and she's just coming out with the Mansfield Park one as well, so I really want to read these mysteries because I love the way that she takes these beloved characters and like ages them down to like teenage or like early young adult age, like 18, 19, 20, and makes really fun little mysteries out of them. Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan, I will be finishing this year. It's on my list for series that I need to finish. Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. This one I've kind of fallen out of love with, but I do have book 6 on my shelves, so I will keep it open for now. I think there's also like 9 books now. I don't know when that's gonna end, but it's there. Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This I think is a companion trilogy. Could be wrong. But Bloody Rose is the second one, which I really do want to read, so it's staying open. Lady Trent Memoirs. I have 4 of the books. I've read 2 of them. We'll be continuing because I love these books. They're very fun. Last Hours I have by Cassie Clare. I have Chain of Thorn on my shelves waiting for me to get in the mood to be sad and to go through that much angst. So I will be continuing and finishing that trilogy very soon this year. The Legacy of Orisha by Tomi Adeyemi. Loved book 1. It's one of my favorite YA books. Hated book 2, was so bad. And I don't know if we're ever getting book 3. So it's staying open because I do want to finish that trilogy because the first one was my favorite. Then we got Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Oh, I can fill in one. I forgot I finished Bloodmarked. Oh my God, that's amazing. Love this series so flingin' much. We'll be continuing whenever we get book 3. Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. Heck yeah, you better believe I'm gonna be continuing that one. Little Thieves is one of my favorite books of last year. The Locked Tomb by Tamsin Muir. Y'all know my girl Gideon better be okay. Will be finishing when we get Electo. I will be screaming about it on my channel. I'm forewarning you. Then we have Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Of course, I've read this one. I've also added in The Hobbit because I feel like The Hobbit is just a prequel to that series. So all 4 of those books I've read. The Last Queen trilogy by Signe Pike. I loved The Last Queen. And I have the sequel on my shelves, and I think that's going to really be my like indicator whether I want to continue with this trilogy or not, because it's historical fantasy. It's better than Outlander in my opinion, but it's in the Outlander vein, but it's got like the myth of Merlin and like Arthur Pendragon. So y'all know I love that shit. So it's there. Actually, we're going to end this here. This is going to be part 1 of my series exploration videos, because we've made it through the L's, we've made it to number 83, and in the next one, we're gonna make it to number 183. So stay tuned because I will have a part 2 eventually for you. As of right now, okay, we're on 83. As of right now, we've shrunk that 112 number down to 102. Look at me go. Can we get it below 100? In the next video? I think so. All right, friends, stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in another video very soon. Also, as a reiteration, let me know down below if I should give any of these DNF'd series a second chance. I'll catch you in another one.